Now let me pick on people randomly. It seems people are still dozing. Isabella, Conrad, Dennis, Mugisha, Joan. I like backbenchers, those who are below here. Sheena, Sherina, Linda, Crevens, Vanessa, Tendo, Stella, Praise, Opio, or rather Opini Pinto, Nimrod. All of us who are here can at least say something about the story. What was it about our story before we start with our new lesson? Since the weekend was very long and members forgot, so let me preach a little bit as I wait for the rest and my answers. You are now you are still in senior to second year. It's been a very long time. Most of you have matured, you've grown up, and I know how life can be challenging. However, as students and normal people, I know you are having a few challenges, but if you have hope and take on prayer seriously, you can be able to overcome. However, I want to emphasize that classes are another way to keep you busy and away from those other thoughts. So when you come to class or when we are teaching, try to be as attentive as you can so that you pick a leaf here and there. So I expect all of us when we come to class to be prepared earlier. Read something before, read something after and during the lesson. That's how learning is. It's a process. So if you read a passage and throw everything there and go to the next passage, then you're in trouble. You ought to remember a few things about this and that. Let me start with what I have here now. And today we want to look at the subject of parts of speech. Okay, Stella says, Jim was the main character in the passage. The passage was about a quarrel among pirates that had resulted from misunderstanding between John Silver and his mates. Thank you so much for sharing. We take that. So today we are going to look at the subject of parts of speech. What do you know about parts of speech? Which ones do you know? What is their role? That's what I'm interested in today. Parts of speech, what are they? Yes, Crevens.
Morning, teacher.
Good morning, Crevens. How are you?
Fine. There is a verb which is a doing word, basically an action.
Okay. We have, how many are there in total? I'm not talking about the verbs. How many parts of speech do you know?
I don't know, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Kylie, you can mute yourself. Kylie, unmute yourself.
Yes, I hope it's right.
Beg your pardon?
There are 8.
Kylie?
So I think there are 8 parts. Can I mention one?
How many parts of speech are there?
I know 8. Title.
Parts of speech, and you're beginning with title.
Teacher, I don't know in order.
Still, speech is not part of it. Okay, let me begin with Lillian. Lillian, come in. Yes, Lillian? You may unmute.
Teacher, I know.
Yes.
To me, I think there are 2 parts of speech. Indirect and direct speech. Yes.
Okay. Okay, I like the confidence, but not really. Thank you.
Okay.
Sulaina, you can unmute. Sulaina,
Interjections.
interjections. How many parts of speech are there? Then you tell me interjections. Nice one. What are these parts of speech anyway? Abby,
Noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, conjunction, interjection,
yes, just run away. Opini, Opini Pinto. Yeah, it's a nice name. Opini Pinto. You can unmute.
We have pronoun,
Mm-hmm.
we have noun,
Mm-hmm.
pronoun,
Mm-hmm.
adjective,
Mm-hmm.
mm, and verb.
Mm-hmm.
We have adverbs,
Mm-hmm.
we have prepositions,
Mm-hmm.
we have conjunctions, and then
Mm-hmm.
articles.
Even articles are part.
Kinda.
I like the kinda bit. It's okay. Thank you, but articles are not part and parcel. Tandy, Stephanie.
Teacher, we have verb,
Mm-hmm.
noun,
Mm-hmm.
adjective,
Mm-hmm.
adverb,
Mm-hmm.
preposition,
Mm-hmm.
and noun.
Mm-hmm. How many are those in total?
I have 6. I
Two
can
more.
add, teacher.
Please do, because I want
Con-
all the 8.
Teacher, conjunction,
Mm-hmm.
interjection.
Okay. Now, while in senior 1, you people who studied the old curriculum, it was almost like the beginning of your lessons. Before you go to tenses, they usually teach you parts of speech. Parts of speech, they are words, but they are categorized according to their uses. So I have a few notes here that I made. However, before I delve into my notes, I'm going to assume we know these things. And then, okay, Isabella has given us a very good list. She has adverbs, adjectives, conjunctions, verbs, nouns, prepositions, interjections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 is missing. And the one that is missing is pronouns in Isabella's. So if you're seeing the chart, sorry, the chart is only. Okay, Isabella, can you try to post that again to everyone? I've enabled chat to everyone. Isabella, repost what you have posted, but including pronouns. I hope Isabella hears that. Conrad, we are in senior 2 English. It is even displayed on my screen. I hope you can read properly. If you can read, it is S2 English, lesson 6. So I didn't expect that question from Conrad, but it's welcome. So I was trying to remind us that in senior 1, we looked at these parts of speech. However, now we want to try to grow them in terms of their order in the sentence and so on and so forth. In short, we're trying to now use them in a sentence. How are they used in a sentence? What meaning do they bring in a sentence? How do they contribute to sentence construction? Okay, Isabella has given us. So if you look at Isabella's list, those are the parts of speech we have. All right, thank you, Isabella, for that contribution. So we have 8 recognized parts of speech which work together to form a sentence. Each part of speech has its role. So today, this is just a reminder. We are going to remind ourselves of what these are. We already know them, but today I'll be making a few modifications here and there. So let's begin with verbs. What are they? What are verbs? We know these things, just reminding ourselves, what are verbs? What role do they play in a sentence? Yes. Now, this person who has called himself a dot, I don't know who you are. Rename yourself or I'll throw you in the waiting room. Yes, students. What is a verb? What is the role of a verb? Very simple, and we continue from there. Conrad, Crevens, Brandon. A verb is a doing word. Okay, someone is saying Happy Teacher's Day. I didn't even know it was my day. Thank you. A verb is a doing word. What do you mean by a doing word? I'm very interested in knowing what you mean by doing. What does it mean when you say doing? Javin, when someone says a verb is a doing word, what is it doing? What is it really? What does that doing mean? Jovia, Parvin? Okay, let me take Crevens.
I think they basically mean something that it's basically an action. So in this case, maybe a pronoun, he is doing something. So the verb shows the action.
Can you give us an example?
Playing, so he is playing.
Okay. Thank you. Showing an action, demonstrates an action, something that is being done. So Isabella also says a verb is a doing word, meaning an action which is taking place or which will take place. Thank you so much. So that is very true. So we also looked at these things can happen at different times. Are we together? It can happen, like Isabella is saying, that it is taking place, it may take place, but that means also if something takes place, it took place. So we have them in different tenses. That's why I am saying that this is the verbs are often, or verbs often end in ing or ed. The ing here now represents the present continuous, or the continuity, leave alone being present, but the continuity of it. It could be in the past, it could be, but it represents continuity. The in, the ing, and the ed here symbolizes that verbs can either be in the present continuous or in the past tense. Ed would be in the, like walked, walking, walked. So I'm saying most of the actions are expressed either in action that is in continuity or in their pastness. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so if you look at Isabella's example, oh yes, and O has taken place. So Isabella has taken place is in the past tense, will take place is in the present, I mean is in the future, and then the ing shows continuity. And you know that it can spread out, past continuous, present continuous. Will be happening, then future and all that. So we are interested in seeing these verbs today. It is just a reminder. We already know these things. That's why I'm not going to elaborate them in a very wide way, but just to remind you what these things do, what these parts of speech are, and what role they play in sentences. So I also agree with you that indeed they indicate an action. For example, if you look at the word play, walk, these are doing words. Walking, playing, those are doing words. However, also we have some verbs which do not really show an action. The verb to be shows a state of being. They have, you cannot really show me, or you cannot claim to say I am having, and then you show us that action of having. But internally in you, we know that you have. Even you cannot show us the action of knowing. However, to know is a verb. So that's what we are saying, that some verbs show a state and other verbs show the actual action. The whole point is this work together. Nearly every complete sentence contains at least one complete verb. So you find most of our sentences have at least a complete verb. That is the state and the action. I have been waiting for you. Waiting is the actual verb, but have is a state. So that's what we mean by a complete verb. If someone talks about a complete verb has a state and the action part of it. I have been waiting. That demonstrates a complete verb. So I'm just reminding you today that yes, it is true, these verbs are action words. That is true. However, what is it really about that action? What do they do in a sentence? Those are things we want to remind ourselves today. What is an adverb? What do they do? And all that. I hope that is understood. This topic will lead us to another topic. There are grammar rules that we shall now begin learning after reminding ourselves of what verbs are. We shall look at grammar rules. For example, if you add a noun plus an infinitive, what happens? There are grammar rules that are formed with such a strict pattern that it's a noun followed by an infinitive. Are we together? Like boys eat. Boys, noun. Infinitive there is eat. So we are going to be following those grammar rules. So here we are just here to remind you of what verbs are, what all the other parts of speech are, but most importantly, what do they do in a sentence? So we are agreeing that in a sentence, verbs help to show us the action being done. Or for you to be able to express the action you saw, the action you performed, the action people are doing, we must apply verbs. We must apply verbs. So you must be aware and you must conform to those rules, because eventually that's what we shall be following all through. Okay. So the words I have been waiting can be regarded as a complete verb. Have been waiting. Because remember I said have is a state and yet it's a verb as well. And waiting is the real action, though the actual action. So when people talk about complete verbs, that's what, and you've seen this, you've told us this before. I will be going. I have I have no money, or rather, I have not been at home for a long time. You know, so you're trying to use complete verbs. So complete verbs help to make complete sentences. Just imagine if we did not have the state of have been. What would the sentence look like minus that? So you would have someone say, I have waiting for you. So such sentences are not grammatically correct. So most times so have is a helping verb at this point. Like the way we say the verb to be, we have it as is, has, or then we have was, were. So those are the verbs we are talking about. You commonly hear them being called helping verbs. In short, they help to complete the verb, to make what we call complete verbs. They show state. So that's why in this part I told you that, so the words have been waiting can be regarded as one complete verb. We also notice that there are different states of these verbs, or different forms of these verbs. And the major three that we have, those ending in ing form, also known as the present participle. Then the en, the form or the past participle, e.g. beaten, taken. Those are the words we are talking about. I have been walking. Those are the areas we are. Those are the areas we have been looking at. Okay. So the other one is the common part of speech we also know is the noun. What did they tell you a noun is in senior one? Someone can remind us before you look at mine. Who can remind us? Kylie? Not what I have, but what you were told. I'm interested in what you were told.
A noun is a naming word or a name of anything.
A naming word or a name of anything. How many types of nouns were you given?
We're given
Okay, you can just list them. You can mention some of them.
common nouns,
Common nouns.
proper nouns, proper nouns. I don't remember the rest.
You have been in senior 2 for 2 years, so I will not blame you. It is okay to forget, but you've tried. Thank you so much. Suraina? Oh, that is Stephanie. Then Suraina is, yes, Stephanie has run away. Pandi? Stephanie? You can unmute. Okay. Okay, look for a good network area. Your network has issues. Kylie, why is your hand up again? You want to tell us something?
The third
one is?
Other than proper nouns and common nouns, I also know countable nouns.
Countable and uncountable, all those. Okay, thank you so much. So we remember these things. So let me also add a leaf to what you know. And we shall agree. Shall all agree that any word that can take an article. Now that's another way to define it, or another way to identify it. If you're reading a passage if you're reading any article, let's say any piece of information, and you see words that take an article, for example, an apple, a boy, the girl, the man, those words are called nouns. Do you understand? That's the easiest way to identify a noun. When someone is giving you a passage and telling you to pick out a noun, simply look out for the words that take on articles. And you know our articles. We have the definite articles and the indefinite articles. The, and, are. Those are the ones we shall be looking out for. However, some nouns do not take an article. Which are some of those nouns which do not take an article? Which are some of those nouns which do not take an article? By show of hands, which nouns do not take an article? Sulaina, you can unmute. Sulaina? Okay. Grace?
Proper nouns.
Proper nouns don't take articles. For example?
Africa. America, Germany, Kampala. You can't say the Kampala or Kampala.
What about the capital city? Okay, I will commonly put them under what we call the uncountable nouns. Most of the uncountable nouns, or all, you cannot say water or so. However, also, like he said, some of those proper nouns you can have like, you cannot say Onyul or so someone's name directly. Sometimes some of them don't, but if it's a collective one, it could be. However, it will be very difficult for us to distinguish there. So I will be safer to say uncountable nouns are the best. And then there are other exceptions. Ashley?
Actually, I wanted to say like names of people, and also not we don't need an article on them.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. You may mute. Okay, back to business. So in sentences, nouns are used. These are the uses of nouns as a subject of the verb. Remember last time when we were handling a sentence and we're identifying a subject, verb, and object. Okay, Isabella, thank you. That time when we're using, if, for example, if someone said, the boy is crying, which is the subject there. In a sentence, the boy is crying, which is the subject, which is the verb. Yes. Brandon, Conrad, in a sentence like that, which is the subject? Samuel, Barak?
The subject is the boy, then the verb is crying.
Thank you. So when we say the subject of the verb, what was our definition of subject? If we want to understand what we mean by the subject of the verb, what did we say is the subject by definition?
We said that the subject is something that is being discussed.
Then the other alternative? Barak, yes. We also define the subject as the doer of the action. That's why this one is there, the subject of the verb. is the doer of the action. So that is the use. So so subjects in a sentence help verbs also to make meaning. Also, they're the ones that perform that action of the verb. So you realize that you need to have a subject, and most times the subject is a noun or a pronoun for that case. For example, if we said Barack answers teacher's questions, or Barack has answered the question. Barack is our subject and is a noun, and then answered is our action or is our verb. Okay, it's like I say my mother is mopping. My mother is the subject, mopping is the action. Thank you. Then the other one, as the object or complement of a verb, that which receives the action. Mangoes are eaten, mangoes are eaten by the boys. So the boys definitely become the object, or rather what is receiving the action is the mangoes. Mangoes are being eaten, or boys are eating mangoes. Let's use that structure. Boys are eating mangoes. So mangoes are receiving the action. That is the verb. So they are complementing the verb. Remember, we talked about transitive and intransitive verbs. So eventually that's where they come in handy now. The object eventually becomes the mango receiving the action. So they help to complement a verb. So it's a complement of a verb in a sentence. That is what we are covering. And then lastly, as the object of the preposition. The ball is under the table. Under is the preposition. The object definitely becomes the ball. So that's how we use them in a sentence. But all those objects we are mentioning, the ball, the boy, Samuel, all those are nouns. So they come in handy. So that is the use of those in a sentence. I disabled the chat because most of you were starting to hi your serifs, and currently I feel like if anyone wants to say hi, it should be to me, and it should be content, not anything outside class. But send your answers to me. I am reading them. I am reading them. Jovia Pavin, just send your answer to me, not to the public. If I want you to send to everyone, I will enable and then tell you to send to everyone. The next part we are going to look at are the pronouns. They have a very simple definition. What did they tell you pronouns are before I give you mine? Beckham, Abby. Come in, Abby.
Pronoun is a word used instead of a noun.
Word used instead of a noun. For example,
for the name, for some name for a boy, you say he.
Oh, so for a boy, you say he, and then for a girl,
he.
For the girl, what do you say?
She.
And for a dog?
They.
A dog.
Sorry?
A dog, singular.
It.
Okay, so exactly that's what we are looking at today. We are trying to look at those words that are used in the place of a noun. They come in handy. They help us to avoid repetitions. Pronouns do not describe nouns. It has never been like that. It will never be like that. We said pronouns are used in the place of a noun to avoid repetition. If you say the boy, the boy, the boy, it becomes boring. So we change to he, him, her, depending on the noun, the sex of the noun. Rengo,
I wanted to give the answer of pronouns.
give it.
Pronouns are words used to replace on a noun or phrases.
Okay, so we use them to replace nouns. That is the most important thing to know, that they replace nouns. Then let's go to adjectives. Okay, we have personal pronouns, we have possessive pronouns. Yes, so if we could try to align them, we have them in singular and plural. That is yet another way, even if it's for possessive, and they all have at least theirs, his, hers. So all those are possessives, both in singular and plural. Okay. Thank you so much. Because of time, let's keep going to the next bit. That is the adjectives. What is an adjective? What is an adjective? What is an adjective? Thank you so much, Isabella. An adjective, Hannah.
An adjective is a word that describes a noun.
An adjective is a word that describes a noun. When you talk about describing, what do you mean? Lillian has run away, Suraina. Stephen. Noelin Kasuti. You may unmute.
Yes, an adjective is a word that talks more about a noun.
When you say talks more about a noun, can you try to make us understand how you talk more about a noun?
Like a word like which will describe a noun.
How will it do it? How will it do it? How will it describe? I'm now asking you to talk about the function. Precisely, how does it operate? That's what I'm interested in. However, thank you. Let me ask Jeremy to come in. Kyle, you've unmuted. You want to say something?
Yes.
When we
Teacher,
talk
like they
about
say that they say, but they tell us more about the nouns. For example, I saw a short, light-skinned, beautiful, fat Ugandan lady. So they talk a lot.
Nice one.
So there they tell us more about the noun. Like I saw a short, light-skinned, beautiful, fat Ugandan lady. So if they tell us more about the noun, like now the noun there is a.
The noun is a.
Yeah. And any word that can take an active, article.
You killed me. Wait, you're just telling me that they tell us more about a noun. First, identify a noun in your. A is the article. The noun is the last thing you mentioned, which is the girl or lady or woman, whatever thing you put there to describe a fat, tall Ugandan woman. So the woman is the noun. A is an article. Anything that takes an article, it could be a definite or indefinite article, is a noun. That's what we agreed. However, you must identify the noun. Don't identify the article. Chai. Stella. Come in. Yes, Stella? Stella is sleeping. Lucas.
A noun is a word class that helps in modification of nouns or pronouns.
You are dying of laughter. What is the problem? It's okay to laugh, my dear. It is okay. You never know where life will throw us tomorrow. Lucas, come back. We are still discussing.
An
What
adjective.
Yes, I agree with you in the definition. What
An
are those
adjective
things?
here.
Yes, I'm saying, what are those things they tell us about a noun? What qualities of a noun do they tell us?
Like a book, a boy. That's like
do you
a
remember
noun.
Do you remember the order of adjectives?
They.
Let me go to Lydian. Thank you. Lydian, come in.
Yes, sure.
Do you remember the order of adjectives?
Yes.
Tell me.
The Napshakob.
Yes, that one.
Yes.
You tell us those things, because that's the answer I'm looking for.
Number. Opinion. Size. Shape. Age. Color. Origin.
And finally,
material.
Yeah, so those are the things it tells us about a noun. They're able to tell us those things about a noun, the color. That's why when I was telling, was it Barack? When he was trying to explain, there was something missing out. We're saying if it can tell us about the color of a noun, the material, thick, dark, those are the things we're talking about. To describe is to give it a more clear look so that I can be able to see, to feel, to touch. In paper 1 next year, when you graduate to senior 3, you will find that in paper 1, you'll be inclined to write stories, and best stories must have adjectives. So that we're able to associate and relate with the story, you need to describe the nouns you're talking about, the characters you're talking about. So that is just a reminder. We have different kinds of adjectives. So yes, Lucky has shared with us, they describe a noun in terms of size, shape, all those things. That is very true. Thank you so much. The lady is the noun. Yes, Jovia, you are right. So those are things I was interested in seeing today under that bit. So let me see what I had for you. Yes, adjectives go with nouns or pronouns and are mostly describing words. But any word which goes with a noun or pronoun, e.g. the article, numeral possessive, is classed as an adjective. The position of it rather matters. So we include articles as well under it. However, I was more interested in the descriptive bit of it. Adjectives usually answer the question of what did you eat? Or what kind of food did you eat? Then you tell me tasteless food. I ate maybe, crispy potato chips, something like that. Crispy sambosas or samosas, depending on what you're going to tell us. So remember, we are reminding ourselves. Thus, red pencils answers the question, what pencil? If you came to me and told me, I have lost my pencil, I will ask you, what pencil? Then you will tell me the red one, or the blue one, or the white one, or something like that. Lillian, your hand is up. Dorcas, your hand is up. You want to say something?
I'm sorry, I just forgot to lower it down.
It's okay. Because if it's the same, you can lower it. Okay, I think
No,
they
I
just.
had forgotten to lower it.
Oh, it is normal. It happens. Okay, so back to our parts of speech. I feel like that is just good enough. We can continue to the other bit of it. The adverbs. Like adjectives are mostly describing words. Instead of going directly with nouns and pronouns, they go with verbs. So adjective, or rather adverbs, help us to describe a verb. They help us to know more about how something was done. That's why they answer the question of how. How did you pass? How are we able to stay in the lockdown for this long? So whatever answer you start with is usually what we call an adjective, or rather an adverb. That which shows us how we did something. How did she smile? So those are things we want to talk about today, just reminding ourselves. So an adverb is a word which modifies or qualifies the meaning of a verb, an adjective, other adverbs, or any other words or phrases in a sentence. Some of those words are quickly, firmly, lightly, carefully, extremely. All those words show us how an action was performed. And the action in that case is a verb. And that's why I'm saying the easiest to recognize are verbs of manner ending in ly. When you talk about manner, manner is a nature, a way. Don't confuse it. Okay, loudly. Good morning, Teacher Lurry. This message has come in late, but thank you so much. I take it. Yes. So all those words that describe how an action was done, we shall categorize them under adverbs. Other adverbs such as here, away, then, today, those answer the adverbs of time. You know, or we also have adverbs of manner, adverbs of place, degree or quantity, adverbs of affirmation and negation, adverbs of frequency, adverbs of reason. So my question is, go back and find out what they are and come and tell us. It's actually a task. So I will randomly pick someone and ask you, what is an adverb of frequency? What is an adverb of reason? So go and do a little research here and there to enable us have a meaningful lesson as we proceed. Prepositions. What are prepositions? What do they do? Maybe I shouldn't have preempted it. Let me hide it. What is a preposition? But because of time, we can go with what is here. The prepositions are mostly short words indicating that should be positions or direction. And by position, or by preposition, by word, it can just mean positioning a word before something. And if it's grammar, we can define it as a preposition is a word placed or positioned before a noun or a pronoun or a noun equivalent to show the relationship between a noun or pronoun. I repeat, a preposition is a word placed or positioned before a noun or pronoun or a noun equivalent to show the relationship between a noun or a pronoun and other words. The boy is under the table. Boy is a noun, table is a noun. What has brought a relationship between those two nouns is a preposition and. The girl is going to school. To is a pronoun showing direction towards. And shows position, that it's below the table. So that's how we use them. They're different kinds, but usually they help us to join or to make meaning, to relate. So they are completed by a noun or pronoun, which usually comes after the preposition. Though we have noticed many cases where preposition comes last. There are also those cases. However, we're interested in knowing that those usually are used or positioned before something else. That's why they attain the name preposition. So they mostly sit before a noun. He is looking for a man. She is looking at the sky. At is definitely our preposition in that case. The girl is behind the house. That is very true. So so the relationship between girl and house is what we are looking at. All right, thank you. Those who are sharing in the chat, I can definitely see. And then you go to conjunctions. Those are simply defined as joining words. A conjunction is used to join words. However, we also have under it what we call the conjunctive adverb. But if you read, you'll find out. However, let's take the most elementary, that conjunctions are joining words. If you want to join phrases, for example, or if you want to join words, if you want to join maybe a boy and a girl, if you want to join those two, so you say the boy and the girl are, you're joining them. They used to join two things, and we shall find that we have different conjunctions, and, but, or, for. So there are those that show difference, there are those that show relation, if, whether, list, unless, since. There are so many. Let's keep sharing some of the conjunctions in our chat and we can come up with something. Okay, Nsubuga, yes, I'll correct that before submitting. Thank you. Okay. Before, however, as soon as, though, all those are there. So we can have the coordinate conjunctions, the subordinate conjunctions, and the correlative conjunctions. But as you furthermore in front, as we study, we shall be able to tell you all those conjunctions. And then finally, yes, even although. Okay, Conrad, yes, I'm going to go back there. You take the screenshot you want. The interjections, what are they? So these are words that do not fit properly into sentences at all. Okay, that might be not understandable, but I will give you another one. Interjections usually show emotion. Surprise is an emotion. When someone is so surprised, when they say, wow, those eventually show emotion. To interject is a part of speech that expresses a strong feeling or sudden emotions or sentiment. They are either called interjections or exclamations. So they show great emotion. So those are things we are looking at. Words like, oh no, I missed the scheduled exam. That shows your shock when you have missed something. or failure to have done something. So it expresses failure. Hey, don't you hear me? That one you're calling for attention if someone is ignoring you. The problem is most of our interjections are in Luganda. You hear someone saying, "Hey mama, chimanda bao. Hey mama, ngababirina." So that's the problem with us. Most of our interjections are in Luganda. So those are the things we are looking at. Hey, take it easy. If someone is fuming and you're trying to calm him down. Then another one, if someone says, I forgot the answer. It shows hesitation, you know, it's a strong emotion. Definitely you're not excited that you have forgotten. I'm going to submit this work to Google Classroom, don't worry. After this lesson, I'm going to do that. When someone says, hooray, that is joy. When someone says, wow, they are surprised, they are amazed. Now, it can sometimes be in the negative, wow, that's the best you could do. Sometimes they are surprised negatively or positively. So be careful when you're applying those two. Okay. Oh, Isabella, thank you so much for sharing. I've been watching all that. Okay, so we have spent our time so far so well. I expect that maybe lastly, this is very important. It commonly happens that one particular word can be used as several different parts of speech. For instance, you can walk, that is a verb. And you can also go for a walk. Now, because the article A is there after walk, that becomes a noun. When you go for a walk, it is different from you can walk. So the same word is used in the place of a noun, and in the other word is used as a verb. So you need to be very careful. At this point, this is what we call a noun equivalent. So when you are working on your essay writing skills, be careful. Are we together? Be careful when you're dealing with those. Another one, I've given some of those examples. So in short, you need to be careful. The only way you can know the part of speech is by reading and getting to know how it is used in a sentence. That's how we practically handle parts of speech. Thank you so much for attending. Conrad wanted something. Let me try to share that part. I hope I take to the right place. I think you wanted around here. Okay. So very first, Conrad. Otherwise, everyone, thank you for attending. God bless you, and head for the next lesson. Yes, you may head for the next lesson. Conrad, I hope you're done. All right, thank you all for attending.
Happy teacher.
Thank you.